Howdy folks, for today's video I got something for you that's a little bit different. And for this thing, let me set the stage. So I was noticing that my Hornady lock and load press, the dies were not locking in real tight. They, you put it in, do the little eighth of a or quarter turn twist, whatever, right? You put it in, twist it, and they would lock in. But I noticed that they were kind of loose on that. Loose when they were locking in, and when I was doing some sizing, I could see them start to, like some movement. And you don't really want movement in your dies when you're doing something as precise as sizing brass to get a perfect shoulder, right? At first I didn't think very much of it, but after, a while I was like, man, this is like... this is going to affect my reloading, and I don't want this to, I don't want to make inaccurate ammo or inconsistent ammo just because of, putting off, procrastinating, fixing something that is potentially broken. So what I did is I kind of analyzed the die bushings, and I noticed that they look totally fine. I noticed that certain stations in the press, the progressive press, would lock the dies up a little bit better. And so I took a closer look at the first station, which is the one that I use the most because that's the one where you're, decapping, sizing, that kind of stuff. And sometimes I would do the decap and size, and, run those through, and then I'd trim the brass and, go from there. But I actually looked underneath the press. So this is a press bushing, and this screws into the threads of each of the stations of the lock and load press. And I mean, you can use these also to convert other presses into like a lock and load press if you want, like a Lee or something. But anyways, this is a die with the bushing on it, and it just goes right in and then twist and it locks. And so I looked underneath the press, and I could see that on a couple of these press bushings, the locking, I guess you could say that this is the locking lug or that's a locking lug, but inside, the inside edge that mates with the locking lug of the die bushing, some of those had chipped. And so it wasn't making a nice flush lock on all of the different locking lugs. And so I contacted Hornady, and man, Hornady has been awesome. They've had really good customer service every time I've contacted them, whether it was calling or emailing. And I sent an email and got a quick response same day. And I told them that I was having issues with this, and that I was wondering if they, because I didn't want to send my press into Hornady and be without it for, however long it takes to refurbish, a press, actually just, get these out and swap them. And so I ended up just asking if they could send me the press bushings, and they did. They just, free shipping, no cost, and they sent me 5 of these to replace. Now, if you look at this, there is not really a good, easy way. There's no flats on it. There's no way to, get a hold of it and screw it in nice and tight and, torque it down so that it doesn't wobble loose. And so I had the idea of making my own wrench for these lock and load press bushings, and what that involved was taking one of these lock and load die bushings and welding it onto a handle, and that would give me, then I could put it in, but not all the way down because that's where it would lock, but put it in about through to the middle of so it interfaces with right about there. And then with a handle, I'd have leverage to just break that loose and unscrew these, and also to torque down the replacements. So I took an old wrench that I got from a pawn shop, and gave it to Al Nelson from NOE and just asked, hey, because he has a welding buddy, or a buddy who does welding for him, and I said, hey, you know, could you just weld that right onto that? And he was surprised that I wanted to use a perfectly good wrench, and it was an older wrench that, you know, probably American made, I don't know. And so he took that over to his friend, and you know, his friend was like, kind of didn't really want to ruin a perfectly good wrench, but they ended up having some like inch thick steel bar stock or whatever, and so they were able to just do a little bit of grinding and then welding, and weld this nice fat heavy 1-inch bar onto this die bushing. And with this, I'm able to put it in and then break it loose and change these out myself. And so I was able to totally, you know, refurbish my own Hornady press with that tool and the replacement bushing. So I just wanted to say, you know, real quick shout out to Hornady. Thanks for replacing these things for free. I appreciate it. I know my press it's actually pretty old now. I've had lots of good years of use on that and have loaded probably, I don't know, like over 100,000 rounds for sure on that thing, and a lot of different calibers. So thanks for sending those replacements. And when I was asking for replacements, then I also said, well, I also have a 300 blackout, the zip spindle, one of them got bent, and there was the little expander ball that had gotten cracked on one of my 30 cals, and so they threw that in also and shipped it all together to me for free. So what I'm saying, I guess, guys, is you know, don't be afraid to work on your own stuff, come up with tools that do what you need them to do, but also don't be afraid to contact these reloading companies and firearms companies and ask for support for their products. I know that those guys want you to have a good experience with their products, and a lot of times they're willing to bend over backwards to help you out. And so kudos to Hornady, and you know, thanks to Al and his friend, and now I have a way to swap out these press bushings whenever I need to. So anyways, hope you guys are having a good and happy new year, and stay safe, have fun, and get some reloading done. And if it's not too cold, do some casting and get some reloading done. Catch you later. Catch you in the next video.